Whether you're a Christian or not, you've no doubt heard the name Moses a few times. This name belongs to an important figure in the history of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Whether Moses may have been a myth or a fact, he was a great figure in all of Abraham's religions. According to many biblical accounts, his resting place was hidden and remains a mystery to this day. However, it seems that this is no longer the case, as the famous modern explorer George Gess has claimed that he has found this secret tomb. This reminds me of an artificial catacombs, a pile of artificial stones covering a grave below. But that's not all. Not only did he claim to have found Moses' secret tomb, but he also found something terrifying inside. What did he find, and why did it cause a stir in religious communities around the world?
And for being prepared for what we're about to present may surprise you.
The life of Moses and the discovery of his burial place, known as a great prophet, led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. He became the subject of countless texts, stories, and debates. Although there are many records of his accomplishments, there is one aspect of the story of Moses that has not yet been revealed. It is where he laid his final rest. Like a true adventurer, George decided to go on a mission to find this mysterious resting place. Can Mount Nebo have archaeological evidence of this burial? But before we get into what George found, let's take a look back at Moses' life and why his resting place was so important. Stay tuned so as not to miss the surprises that we are about to reveal to you. Moses is one of the most important men in the history of religion, especially in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. His story is mainly told in the Hebrew Bible, in the books of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. He is known as a prophet, leader, and legislator. His life and actions have had a profound impact on many people and cultures. Moses was born in Egypt when the Israelites, also known as the Jews, were enslaved. This happened around the end of the 14th century BC, probably around 1391 BC. At that time, Pharaoh ordered the killing of all newborn Jewish boys in order to control the population of Israel. To save her son, Moses' mother put the boy in a basket and floated around the Nile. Moses' sister, Miriam, watched over him as he drifted away. Pharaoh's daughter found the basket and decided to raise Moses as her son, naming him Moses, meaning lifted up out of the water. Moses grew up in the royal palace, enjoying the privileges and education of an Egyptian prince, but he knew he was Jewish. When he was about 40 years old, he saw an Egyptian beating a Jewish slave. Moses was so angry that he killed the Egyptians and hid their bodies in the sand. When this was discovered, he had to flee Egypt to save his life. He fled to the land of Midian in the northwestern Arabian Peninsula, where he met Jethro, a priest, and married Jethro's daughter, Sephra. He became a shepherd, taking care of Jethro's flocks. He lived in Midian for about 40 years, until he was about 80 years old. One day, while Moses was tending sheep on Mount Horeb, also known as Mount Sinai, he saw a bush burning, but not burning. The Lord spoke to Moses from the bushes and told him to return to Egypt to free the Israelites from slavery. God gave Moses special powers to prove to Pharaoh and the Israelites that he had sent him. Moses returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron, who helped him talk to Pharaoh. They asked Pharaoh to release the Israelites. When Pharaoh refused, God sent 10 terrible calamities down Egypt. The chain of events that occurred due to these calamities is the reason Moses became so famous in the history of religion today. But what exactly are those calamities? According to the Bible, these calamities included turning the Nile into blood, frog plague, flies, gnats, plagues that killed animals, pimples, rock storms, locusts, darkness, and finally the death of Egypt's firstborn sons. To protect their children, the Israelites marked their doors with sheep's blood, a tradition known as Passover. According to the Bible, these calamities eventually killed Pharaoh's sons, prompting him to decide to release the Israelites. This happened around 1250 BC. Moses then led the Israelites out of Egypt in what is known as the Exodus, heading for the promised land, Canaan. When the Israelites fled, Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his army to arrest them. The Israelites were trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian army. God told Moses to raise his hand over the sea, and the sea water separated, creating a dry path for the Israelites to pass. Once they were safe, the water returned and engulfed the Egyptian army. After escaping from Egypt, Moses led the Israelites through the desert. They encamped at Mount Sinai, where the Lord gave Moses 10 commandments. This is a set of laws carved on stone tablets, including rules such as honoring parents, not killing, not stealing, and not lying. These became the foundation of Jewish law and morality. The Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years because they disobeyed God and did not trust Him. During this time, God provided them with manna, a special food that appeared on the ground every morning. Moses also tapped on a rock to bring water to the people when they were thirsty. He led the people to settle disputes and taught them God's law. He also erected a special tent called the Tent of Reunion, where the Israelites could worship the Lord. According to information from the Bible, near the end of the 40 years, God punished the Israelites. Moses climbed Mount Nebo, from where he could see the promised land. But the Lord told Moses that he would not enter that land because he had disobeyed him when he created the waters at Meribah. The Bible records that Moses died on Mount Nebo and that God himself buried him in a secret place. This event is believed to have occurred around 1271 BC. Now, let's go back to George Gess and his discovery regarding this mysterious tomb. The traditional location of Moses' death is on Mount Nebo, but new clues from the discovery suggest that his tomb may have been found. For centuries, people have wondered where Moses' tomb is located. Some ancient texts and local stories suggest that clues can be found in the area around the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee is located in northern Israel, is the largest freshwater lake in the country, has a rich history, and is mentioned many times in the Bible with historical and religious significance. This seems to be an ideal place to look for clues about the burial place of Moses. George and his team began planning the expedition in early 2018. They collect historical documents, maps, and other sources to better understand where the search began, with the goal of discovering underwater sites that may contain ancient artifacts or structures associated with Moses. Shortly after George and his team arrived in Israel, they established an operating base near the Sea of Lakes. Their team consists of underwater archaeologists, historians, and diving experts. They used modern equipment and tools to map the lake bottom and search for hidden structures. One of the modern tools George uses is satellite imagery. By analyzing satellite images, his team was able to identify geographical and topographic features that matched descriptions from ancient texts. The mapping software helped create detailed maps of the areas they planned to explore, ensuring that they had a good understanding of the landscape. Ground-piercing radar, GPR, was another important tool that George and his team used in searching for Moses' tomb. GPR is a non-invasive method that uses radar waves to visualize it on the ground. The radio waves generated from the radar box will go down, and when they collide with an object, they will pop up and be displayed on the screen. This technology helps detect buried structures, cavities, and anomalies without digging. Using GPR, George and his team were able to explore beneath the surface of potential sites in search of hidden tombs or other important archaeological features. Drones, equipped with high-resolution cameras, are also used to capture aerial views of the landscape. These aerial shots provide a broader view of the areas being investigated and help identify any unusual features or structures that may not be visible from the ground. The drone also allows the team to access hard-to-reach areas such as cliffs and steep terrain. In addition, 3D scanning technology is also used to create detailed three-dimensional models of any important findings. This technology allows the team to record and analyze structures and artifacts with high accuracy. The 3D models also help share findings with experts and the public, providing a more comprehensive view of the discoveries. The team began the underwater survey by scanning the bottom of the lake for unusual structures. In October 2018, they discovered an underwater ancient structure shaped like a circular stone memorial. This structure is called K, which is made of large rocks stacked on top of each other in a circular shape. It is about 230 feet in diameter and 32 feet high. This finding is important because K is often associated with ancient burial rituals. George and his team believe that this structure may be related to Moses or may provide clues about his final resting place. They began a detailed inspection at the site, carefully removing the mud and sediment to further expose the structure. The process takes several weeks and requires care to avoid damaging the ancient rocks at sites where initial findings show archaeological significance. George and his team carried out the excavation carefully. They used traditional archaeological tools such as shovels, flyers, brooms, and ropes to dig and sift the soil during excavation. They found a number of artifacts, including pieces of pottery and tools, suggesting that the site may have existed for thousands of years. However, there is no direct evidence related to Moses. The team faced many challenges, such as poor visibility underwater, strong currents, and difficulty working at great depths. To better understand the importance of this underwater area, the team consulted with experts in ancient history and archaeology. They studied the pottery pieces and tools found at the site to determine their age and origin. The results of the carbon determination show that some artifacts date the time period when Moses is thought to have lived, i.e. about 3,200 years ago. The team also looked up ancient texts and local legends to see if they referred to the structure they had found. They found references to sunken cities and memorials in the legend of the region, but there was no specific mention of Moses. Although there is a lack of direct evidence, the discovery of the structures has added to the mystery of his final resting place. In early 2019, George and his team mapped the entire structure and collected as much data as possible. However, they did not find anything of special value. Nevertheless, Moses' search for a resting place continues to this day. The fact is that not only Christianity values Moses, but other religions also have their own versions of this mysterious location. In the next part of this video, we will look at the different locations that are believed to be Moses' resting place and why these sites are suspected to be where he was buried. Stay tuned, as you're about to witness something truly incredible. First, we'll start with the Islamic version of Moses' burial site, called Nabi Musa, which is an important religious site located in the Judah Desert, near the Dead Sea and about 18.6 miles east of Jerusalem. Many Muslims believe that this is the resting place of Moses, known as Musa in Arabic. Moses is one of the most important prophets in Islam. He is mentioned more times than any other prophet in the Quran. The story of Moses is central to Islamic teachings and emphasizes faith, perseverance, and guidance from God. Muslims believe that Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt and received instructions from God. The story of Moses teaches Muslims the importance of following God's teachings and having strong faith. The Nabi Musa area has a long history and has been a place of pilgrimage and religious significance for centuries. The association of this place with Moses dates back to the medieval Islamic period, around 1269 AD. During the Sultan Mamluk period, Sultan Baybars, a prominent leader of the Mamluks, began building temples and mosques, an important prophet in Islam. One of the most important events at Nabi Musa is the annual pilgrimage known as the Nabi Musa Festival. This pilgrimage has been celebrated for centuries and is traditionally associated with Muslims, celebrating the night of Laylat al-Miraj, the night journey, and the ascension of the Prophet Muhammad to heaven. Thousands of Muslims participate in this pilgrimage every year. The pilgrimage consists of a parade that starts from Jerusalem and ends at the Nabi Musa. Pilgrims gather at the temple to participate in religious ceremonies and celebrations. The complex includes many buildings such as mosques, temples, and pilgrim accommodations. The architecture of this place reflects the medieval Islamic style. Over the years, the complex has been expanded and remodeled by various Muslim leaders to preserve its religious and cultural heritage. The mosque was used for daily prayers, and the temple was the focal point where people believed that Moses was buried. But the story doesn't stop there. Nabi Musa is not only a historical site, but also a place of profound religious significance. Muslims visit this place to pray, seek blessings, and connect with their faith. The annual pilgrimage to Nabi Musa is a testament to the site's enduring importance in the Muslim world. This is it. There's a time for the community to gather, reflect on religion, and celebrate. Over the centuries, the Nabi Musa site has been carefully preserved and renovated. The Islamic authorities have ensured that the site is maintained in good condition for future generations. The buildings at Nabi Musa have been expanded and improved to accommodate the growing number of pilgrims visiting each year. These efforts ensure that the site continues to serve as a place of religious significance and cultural heritage. Nabi Musa is not only a cultural landmark, but also a religious site. It represents the rich history and traditions of the Islamic world. The annual pilgrimage brings unity to Muslims from different backgrounds, fostering a spirit of solidarity and common faith. The site is also a place where people can learn about the history of Moses and his role in Islamic teachings. Today, Nabi Musa continues to be an important site for Muslims all over the world. This is a place where people come to seek spiritual comfort and strengthen their faith. The annual pilgrimage remains an important event, attracting thousands of participants each year. The site is also a reminder of Moses' enduring legacy and his importance in Islamic tradition. Religious ceremonies at Nabi Musa are an important part of the pilgrimage experience. Pilgrims gather to pray, recite verses from the Quran, and participate in worship services. These rituals are a way for Muslims to honor Moses and reflect on his teachings. The spirit of community and common faith is strongly displayed in these gatherings, making the pilgrimage a deeply spiritual experience. Nabi Musa is important not only because of its religious significance, but also because of its historical value. The site has been a place of worship and pilgrimage for centuries, making it a valuable part of Islamic history. The buildings and structures at Nabi Musa provide insights into the architectural styles and cultural practices of the medieval Islamic period. For Muslims, visiting Nabi Musa is a way to connect with their faith and history. The venue offers a peaceful and reflective environment where people can pray. The annual pilgrimage provides an opportunity for Muslims to gather and celebrate their common faith. For many, visiting Nabi Musa is a meaningful experience, reinforcing their connection to their faith. In addition to Nabi Musa, another, less famous site is believed to be the resting place of Moses, is Jebel Harun. Jebel Harun, also known as Mount Aaron, is a mountain in Jordan that has long been associated with biblical characters such as Moses, and especially his brother, Aaron. Aaron is believed to have been buried here, but the belief that Jebel Harun may also have been the resting place of Moses stems from religious traditions and historical records that span centuries. To understand why Jebel Harun is considered a possible burial site for Moses, it is necessary to consider the cultural and historical factors involved. We need to consider many important aspects, including biblical stories, religious traditions, archaeological evidence, and the importance of the mountain to various religions. Starting with the biblical stories, namely the Book of Numbers, the Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years after leaving Egypt. During this time, Moses received the 10 Commandments and other laws from God on Mount Sinai. As the journey continued, the Israelites made their way to the land of Canaan, the Promised Land. In chapter 20 of the Book of Numbers, the story describes an important event that occurred near the mountain. When the Lord conveyed the command to Moses and Aaron to summon all the people of Israel and announced that Aaron would die because the two brothers had disobeyed the Lord's command earlier. Moses took Aaron and Xerxes' son Eliah up the mountain, and at the top of the mountain, Aaron died. Moses and Aaron then went down the mountain. Aaron's death was a pivotal event in the Israelites' journey. marking the end of Aaron's role as the high priest and leader of the Levites. The spot where Aaron died and was buried on Mount Hor is identical to Jebel Harun. This unity has been preserved throughout the Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. All recognize the importance of this mountain in relation to Aaron's death and burial. Next is the aspect of religious tradition in Judaism. The identification of Mount Hor with Jebel Harun is supported by historical interpretations and religious teachings. Jewish scholars and priests have maintained the belief that Aaron's death and burial on Mount Hor occurred at Jebel Harun. Moses' connection to this mountain is inferred from the story of how he accompanied Aaron up there and witnessed Aaron's death. Christian pilgrims and scholars have long followed the biblical stories and also identified Mount Hor with Jebel Harun. They see this mountain as an important site related to the biblical story of Moses and Aaron. This tradition has existed for centuries in Christian teachings and historical records. In addition to religious texts and traditions, archaeological finds and historical records also contribute to the understanding of the importance of Jebel Harun. Petra, a city near Jebel Harun, was an important commercial and cultural center during Bible times. Jebel Harun's proximity to Petra suggests that the mountain could have been known and revered by the ancient inhabitants of the area. Archaeological excavations in Petra and surrounding areas have revealed artifacts and inscriptions that provide insight into the beliefs and religious practices of the people here. While there is no direct evidence linking Jebel Harun to Moses' burial site, the mountain's importance in historical and religious contexts cannot be overlooked. Over the centuries, Jebel Harun has remained a religious and cultural pilgrimage site. People of different religions have visited this mountain to pay homage to the biblical characters associated with it. Pilgrimages to Jebel Harun continue to this day, showing its enduring importance in the religious context of the Middle East. In recent times, the search for Moses' tomb has continued to attract both believers and scholars. The search is not only to identify a specific location, but also to understand the long-term influence of Moses' teachings and his role in shaping moral and religious norms. The cultural influence of Moses' heritage extends beyond the religious realm, influencing literature, art, and philosophy worldwide. Although the exact location of his tomb has yet to be discovered, Moses' legacy still exists as a symbol of resilience and guidance. People still seek the tomb of Moses today as part of their spiritual journey, connecting with their faith and seeking closeness to a revered prophet and leader. Pilgrimages to places like Mount Nebo give people of faith the opportunity to reflect on the teachings of Moses and their own spiritual path. And if you've really watched this far, with God's blessing, share it with your loved ones so they can know about this as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to give us more motivation to create more videos about the Bible. We hope to see you again in the next video. May God bless you and protect you at all times. Amen. Amen. Amen.